Hey everybody, welcome to the Creativity Cave. I'm Dina Rico and I'm crazy in love with this card. Oh my gosh. I have to tell you that this sort of came together out of a combination of my desk being a mess, and I think many of you can relate to this. I was stamping earlier this week and I made this card and I did a video on this and I loved it. Love it. And then I had sitting out on my desk this piece of cardstock that I'd embossed in Pear Pizzazz with the new Petal Burst embossing folder, and I just loved the look of this. But what I was actually looking to use it with this, but I didn't like how it worked. It was just a little too much, so I wanted something simpler, which is why I went with this different background. Anyway, then I was working on my Jar of Love card class, and I had all the Jar of Love stuff sitting out on my desk, but I still had this stuff sitting out on my desk because I hadn't cleaned all the stamps yet and put them away, so you can see the dilemma. So of course I had to put them together and make a insanely fabulous card, which I do believe this is. Anyway, so let me show you how I put this together now that you have heard how the items came together. So let me show you. First of all, I have my embossed piece, which I'm going to set aside for now. I have my 2 layers of cardstock, and of course all the dimensions and all the details will be on my blog post. The link will be in the description of this video right here, so make sure and check it out. I'm just going to grab, and I think you guys will also appreciate this, I also have a pile of scraps sitting on my desk. Oh, this actually might be a full half sheet of cardstock. I just dropped about 8 pieces on my floor. Oh well. So let me show you how I put all this together. Okay, first of all, I'm using the largest of the jars. So I had the medium one out, but now I need the large one. And I apparently am losing my voice, so I apologize for that. But I am going to change up the colors ever so slightly just to give you an alternative. And actually I'm filming this at like 10 o'clock at night, so I will put the picture of this new color version. These are already on my blog, but the new color version I'll have to wait till tomorrow morning so I can take nice pictures of them, because the late night photos never turn out that great. Okay, so I'm going to stamp the jar on my scrap of cardstock here. And I stamped this in basic gray ink, and in my sample it is basic black, but like I said, I'm changing this up ever so slightly just to give you another idea of a fabulous color combination. I'm going to stick with the soft sky for the water. That soft sky and pool party are my favorite colors to use as water in this Jar of Love set. I just think they're nice and soft and subtle colors, and they look fantastic. I will also stick with the Pear Pizzazz and Old Olive for the leaves, because I think those 2 colors work really nicely together. They look great, and I just like the way they look. Now I am combining, so I've got the Jar of Love stamp set, which it's sitting right here. I'll grab it and show you. But I'm also using the bunch of petals or blossoms or whatever that is. Bunch of blossoms. Final answer, it's right there. Here we go. Here's the Jar of Love. Oh, and like usual, it's got stamps stuck to it because that's just how things roll in my office. Okay, so the Jar of Love, I'm using the large jar. And then in this bunch of blossom stamp set, I'm going to use the different blossoms that are here. This little teeny flower, the leaves, and then the bigger leaves, and then this stem. Okay, and both of these sets are awesome. I think the Jar of Love is absolutely my favorite thing in the new catalog. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to use the stem. This is from the bunch of blossoms, and I will do the stem several times. Actually, I'm going to flip so they're kind of going both ways, and just stamp this a few times so I've got some stems in my water. Okay, don't worry, they don't have to line up with anything. And then, now here's where the awesomeness starts to happen, okay? I have the Flower Builder punch, or I don't know what this is called because I can't remember these things because my brain dies whenever I start filming. But this punch that coordinates I'm just going to punch, I'm going to just put it in a piece of cardstock. This is just a quarter sheet of cardstock, and punch it once. Okay, now I'm not using these pieces. They are garbage. We'll chuck them out of the way. They actually did go into a garbage can over there. Even some of them made it in, so that's not half bad. Okay, but what I've done with this is I've created like a jig. My husband always says jig when he does woodworking or whatever handy stuff that he does. So I can make a jig too. And it's not an Irish dance, I might add, either, because I can't do that. But what I can do is line it up so that I can stamp and punch multiple pieces in these builder punches all at once. And you can do this with any of the builder punches. And the really fantastic thing is that when you use these punches together, they work great because they're photopolymer, so you can see what you're doing. Now, I have to also add, I need a piece of scrap paper behind my work because I'm known for being messy, so oh well. Okay, now I'm just going to take and stamp this. Here's where I'm changing up the colors. I am using Sweet Sugar Plum. Okay, so I stamped it right through. And then I'm going to use Sweet Sugar Plum on the small petal. Okay, and Sweet Sugar Plum on the little flower. Now here's where you want to make sure you've got it turned right. I think that's right. My camera's in the way, so... Yep, that's my big head. Sorry. And then, last but not least, I need the little leaf in Pear Pizzazz. Okay, and then I'm going to do that again. Actually, I shouldn't say again. I'm going to do the second layer of each of those colors right over the top, this time in Rich Razzleberry for the purpley pinks, and Old Olive for the leaves. Okay, and then I'm also going to finish the rest and speed up the process. Okay. So see how it lines up? Okay, repeat 2 more times. Okay, so a girl changes her mind, right? All right, I was stamping the pieces like I was before, and I decided this was too dark, so I decided to stamp off a layer of ink to get the lighter shade. So to show you that, to demonstrate, I'm still using my Sweet Sugar Plum and Rich Razzleberry combination, but instead I'm stamping off the first layer. I'll just do a quick one right there to show you. And then the second layer is full strength Rich Razzleberry. And then you can see you get a little bit more contrast. And I really like the look of that because I've kind of made a mess of my paper. I'm going to cut apart these just so I can not punch over anything I don't want to punch over. And I'll show you in just a second. Since I got rid of these, you can see that I'm not going to accidentally punch one of the leaves that was right there. One of those big leaves. So anyway, I just center this, and then look at, I can cut all 4 pieces in one glorious shot. Same thing here. Cut all 4 pieces. Really quick and easy. I love that. There is 2. And then my third is right here. And that is just the beauty of this builder punch with the stamping jig. Okay, now I will cut this with my framelit, but let me show you how I assemble these. Let me quick cut these out. Now the punch doesn't have this large leaf because there's only so much room on that punch, but these are really easy to cut out because they are just such simple shapes, as you can see. Even though my cutting skills are bad, that's because it's 10 o'clock at night. just never know what's going to happen in a video that I shoot at 10 o'clock at night. And the reason it's at 10 o'clock at night is because we had an impromptu Pokemon Go session. So, of course, we had to do that. Because the family that Pokemon goes together stays together. At least that's our motto. Okay, so I'm going to wiggle each of my petals and leaves. And here they are. And I do this because it adds dimension, and that is, of course, my very favorite thing, to add dimension to things. And don't you think this one is the full strength and this is the stamped off? This is a happier petal, don't you agree? I mean, come on. Okay, and then here's another small one. So I've got 1, 2, 3 small ones, except that is the depressing dark one. We need the happy light one. Okay. Let me get some of these extra pieces out. Then I should have 3 little flowers like this. Here's the depressing dark one. Here's the happy light one. Yay! It's like happy trees. Wait, isn't that what they were called? You know, Bob Ross, happy trees, right? Right? Okay. And I, of course, have to do my leaves. Everything needs a little wiggle. I'm telling you, it adds so much. You'll see. Okay. So then to assemble this, it's really easy. But first I gotta die cut my piece. I'll be right back. Okay, let's put it all together. I've die cut my jar. I've got my white panel of cardstock. So I will pop this up over to one side and then the magic happens. So I'll put a couple of dimensionals on here. Now, before I adhere this, I am just going to check. I'm setting this here as like a little placeholder, I suppose, because I want to stamp a little bit of greenery in the background. And let me show you. Do you see that? I've got some greenery there just to kind of fill things out a little bit. And so this is my placeholder. Now what I want to do is ink just the greenery portion, not the stem, because I guess I could ink the stem. I think actually, to be honest, when I did this, I'd already adhered the jar down. So I suppose it doesn't make that big a difference, but I'm just going to stamp a little bit there and a little bit there and a little right at the top. And I'm going to cover most of this up. Okay, now I'm going to add my jar. Okay, that looks good. Now, let's add our petals. So the way I put these together is I kind of built up a unit, if you will, where I placed a little adhesive on the side of one petal. Then I added the second petal, okay? And then I popped up the third petal with just a dimensional at the bottom and then put it right over the top. Okay, so that kind of creates my 3-dimensional flower. So I will just kind of place this here for right now because I want to get a feel for the layout of everything. Then I'll do the same exact thing with my smaller petals. I'll just put a little adhesive on the one edge, just on the very edge there. I'll add the second petal and the third one popped up at the base of the petal. Okay, again, there we go. So I kind of have that like that, looking good. Now I will adhere this down and let me just double check. Yeah, I did pop that up, didn't I? Okay, so we'll get one more dimensional out because everything popped up looks good. I'm going to put that in the middle more, so that I can sort of tuck it over the jar just a skosh. Oh my gosh, somebody I think said, was it skosh or no, it was schmutz. That actually means dirt in German, and they were laughing at my use of these terms. Well, of course they are official stamping terms. Okay, so then I put some right there. Then comes the fun part. I'm going to tuck in my little petals with glue dots. So I'll just tuck in a petal right there, a couple down here, and it's just so fun to to get this all together like so. And then the two bigger petals I will add right here and here. Now you can see I've kind of got this goofy looking hole in the middle, and that is where my ribbon came together. So if you look on my card, I've got this glorious bow. So I will take my lace trim, tie up a pretty bow, and put it together. So to do that, I'm just going to go around like this, feed this through, and I'm going to pull it, except it's loosening. There we go. And then I just kind of wiggle back and forth till I get the size bow that I like. And then I will adhere it to my card with a glue dot, of course, because glue dots solve all of the world's problems. Just like that. Okay, trim it down just a little. Grab my scissors. And I always tie from the roll, that way I don't waste a bunch of ribbon, which is, I think, helpful. Okay, and last but not least, there we go, I need to add a little bit of Wink of Stella, because in my personal opinion, everything is better with Wink of Stella. Okay, so I'm just putting that on each of my petals. Of course, some of them are covered, so we don't have to worry about that. But it looks so pretty. Oh, but actually, speaking of petals, I've got 3 more little flowers to add. I can't forget about those. Of course, I've got to make them dimensional. So I'll just wiggle these flowers as well and then add them. Spread around my card. So cute. Oh. Love, 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 love. Love, love. Okay. And of course, you got to add a little teeny pearl to the center because it's just so pretty. Okay, so I can pull these off super easy with my fingernails, but if you can't, use your scissors like this, where you kind of push it off the card, pick it up, and place it. That's if you don't have crazy nimble fingers. So pretty. Okay, last but not least, we have to stamp our greeting. Now, I have to tell you, I had a little trouble with my greeting when I originally stamped, so I'm going to practice it on here just to make sure. Oh, it looks good, and I'll show you why it looks good. I cut off a little hunk of this stamp. Oh, beautiful. I actually cut out that little bit right there because it was catching the edge and driving me crazy. Okay, all I have left to do is put a little Wink of Stella on these new petals or flowers, whatever these are, because they're just so pretty. Okay, and then adhere it together. It really is easy, and I hope you like this. I like that I did a different color scheme. Of course, the possibilities are most certainly endless with this, but I do think this is so pretty. I might be a little more impartial to my pink, but I'm still glad I tried a different color combination because it does look gorgeous. Anyway, I hope you like this. This is just a sampling of what an online class with me will be like. For each project, I do a video just like this. All the details will be in the link in the description of this video, so check that out. Thanks so much for stamping with me today, guys.